those things, what we're really talking about, right, is manifestation. Because you manifest whether you think so or not, you manifest whether you're aware of it or not. Okay, it's not something that you believe in. Manifestation is not something to believe in, it's something that you already do. Okay, but the important part of manifestation is when you can control it and bring things deliberately into your world. Okay, because we do it anyway, right? You might as well control it. You might as well bring things deliberately into your world. Okay, because if you're not controlling it, then you just get random stuff and you're living a random life. Okay, so what am I talking about? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. Okay, when you apply this to any one thing, any one goal, whether the goal is a job, whether the goal is a relationship, whether the goal is a material thing, whether the goal is, a vacation, like anything, okay, it is a goal. So therefore, you will manifest it or not. Okay, so you might as well have control over what you're manifesting. Okay, good morning, guys. Good morning, Costas. Good morning. Good morning, guys. Welcome. Hey, Rosa. Good morning. So you might as well have control over this manifestation process. Okay, now what have we been told about it? Well, we've been told it's a secret. It's the great secret. Okay, it's not a secret. It's not. It's your subconscious mind. Okay, I'm just going to break it down for you so you can understand what it really is. So all it is you're reprogramming your subconscious mind. What does reprogramming? I mean, yeah, it sounds like a big deal, right? Okay, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, a belief is a thought you keep thinking. When you keep thinking a thought, it goes into your subconscious as a program. Okay, that program starts to form your paradigm. Now, human beings have more than one paradigm. Okay, so it's not like you have one paradigm and that's it. Okay, because you have a certain way you act with your spouse, you have a certain way you act with your boss, you have a certain way you act with your best friend, you see, your children, like right down the row, okay, right down the line. So human beings are very versatile, okay, very complex beings. Okay, we've been made to feel less than, but we are actually greater than all the other beings on earth. Okay, so you are the highest form of intelligence there is. So you are the miracle. You are the center point of your universe. Okay, what does that mean? That means everything responds to you. Okay, you as the center point, in the center. Okay, everything out there reacts to everything in here. So once you change something in here, guess what happens? The reaction is different. Okay, the reaction is different. All you have to do is change in here. Okay, and this is why in holy writings you hear things like, they have eyes but they do not see. They have ears and they listen but they do not hear. Why is that? Because your eyes look away from the kingdom. Okay, the kingdom is in here. Jesus said the kingdom is within. Okay, and he taught us that the kingdom was within so that we don't go without. Because when you go out here, you don't find solutions. Okay, the solutions are in here. So your eyes look away from the kingdom. But you have to seek in here. You have to listen in here. Okay, your ears are not for that kind of listening. Okay, your ears are for the physical world. Okay, but when you want to listen and hear, when you want to hear answers, you go in here. When you seek, seek and ye shall find, you seek in here. Okay, you don't seek out there. If you seek out there, you get lost. Okay, so you go in here, okay, go in your center and seek in here, and you will find. So manifestation, right? We always talk about affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. Okay, and why is this so important? Well, it's important if you want to change something in your life, or if you want to attract something into your life, something good into your life, something better into your life, if you want to have a better life. Good morning, Philin. Good morning. Nice to see you guys here. Hi, Cooper. Hi, good morning. I saw your comment yesterday. Sorry, I got to it late. But yeah, welcome. So, thank you for sharing the live, by the way. So, affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. Okay, if you take all four pillars and you apply it on one thing and focus on one thing at a time, you can manifest it. It cannot not happen. You're a human being. Okay, so when you focus like this, when you apply focus, okay, and we're talking about intentional focus. When you apply intentional focus, okay, then what do? Well, you marry intent with emotion. And then what happens? Then you imprint the subconscious. Then the subconscious starts giving you, right, actions and circumstances regarding what it is you believe. And then you just walk towards it, and it starts to happen for you. Is it magic? No, not in the magic sense. But it is magic in the sense that you're a human being. It's magic in that sense. It's human being kind of magic, okay? Because first you think the thought. When you think the thought often enough, whatever it is, you start to believe it. When you believe it, the subconscious goes, oh, okay, well, let me find you things that coincide with this belief. And those things will appear. So there's only the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. What does the superconscious do? Well, we call the superconscious God. That would be where you place that belief. So if it's Jesus Christ, if it's Allah, if it's divine, the divine, if it's infinite intelligence, we put it in the superconscious category. There are so many things that I've deliberately manifested over the years, like I still do, okay? But here's what it looks like. So if you're wondering what the subconscious does, okay, and these are the orders that you give the subconscious, and I know it looks crazy, right? I have like 12 books like this in storage, okay? But every single thing I write comes out. Everything I write about, everything I do, affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization, everything. And I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to give it to you, okay? I'm here to give you the good news. The majority of the people that, are on my social media and stuff, right? They need solutions. Things are getting kind of spooky out there. People are like, doing some spooky things. So how do you make your life better? Okay, well, everything out there responds to everything in here. You just have to change the things in here. You can't change things out there. Okay. People always ask me, okay, how do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do that? The how is God's job. You just need to know what and why. That's all. Know your what, know your why, and let God do the how, the superconscious. Okay. Now, for those of you who don't believe in God, we're just gonna say there's the conscious and subconscious in that case. Okay, because I have some clients that don't believe in God, or I have had. I think I don't have any right now, but I have had, and these are professionals. So I do professional coaching. I teach CEOs, doctors, attorneys, things like that. So I'm giving over here. So I don't need clients. So I'm not trying to get you to be my client or anything, but I'm trying to share the knowledge with you to offer you solutions because I'm expensive. Okay. So the solutions, right? So affirmations, what is that? Well, I am so happy and grateful now that I have an extra $100 this month. Okay. Now, how is that going to happen? Well, it's up to God. And how does the process work? Well, first you write it, okay? And then you speak it out loud. Okay, so that's part of the vocalization process. So first you write the intention, whatever you're intending. Okay, you write the intention and you write it in the morning when your brain is in theta state. Okay, theta is relaxed. So when you first wake up, before you get going, before you drink coffee, before all of that. Okay. So you write out your affirmation. Okay. When you write out your affirmation, okay, speak it right before you go to bed. So those are at two opposite ends. Okay. So the first thing, right, is that you're going to write the affirmation when you're in theta state in the morning and theta state in the evening. Now, I'm going to add that, whatever you speak into your subconscious when you're in theta state right before bed in the evening is very important as well. Okay? Because that goes directly into your subconscious, and your subconscious thinks about it overnight. So if you tell yourself how your day is going to go tomorrow, okay, and you're just kind of visualizing and you're kind of planning it, okay, speak it out loud. Because when you speak it out loud, your subconscious responds to two things really, really well. The first is your image in the mirror, okay? The second is your voice. Okay, why? Because it's you. Simple as that, okay? So now, when you start to speak things into existence, okay, the world was spoken into existence. Okay, God spoke the world into existence, and that's what it says in the Holy Bible, okay? So you can speak things into existence. How does that work? Well, when you speak it, your subconscious starts to believe it. When your subconscious starts to believe it, what happens? Well, it starts to show you evidence of it. It starts to create avenues for you. And then there's the superconscious. What does that do? That gives you intuitive thought about it. So let's say, for example, you want a new car. Okay, let's just say it's a thing. Okay, a new car. So now I am so happy and grateful now that I have my new car. Okay, I did this with one of my clients, and she got a used van, but it was almost new, 10,000 miles. You think she was complaining? She was ecstatic. Okay, so you write, I am so happy and grateful now that I have my new car. Thank you. Now, how does that work when the subconscious starts to believe it? Well, when you give that job to your subconscious is like, okay, we're going after a new car. Okay. Now, the superconscious will give you intuitive thought on how to proceed. So you might get the thought, well, maybe I should save money. How are you going to get a new car? Well, there's a plethora of ways. Okay, maybe I should save money. You might get another thought. Maybe I should make a loan. Get another thought. Maybe I should look in the used car section in whatever, online or, on Facebook or something. And so you get these intuitive ideas. Now, when you get intuitive thought, you need to act on it because it's God talking to you, or the superconscious talking to you, or consciousness talking to you. So the superconscious is what we're all plugged into, or consciousness. So now when you write it, right, I am so happy and grateful now that I have my new car. Thank you. Okay. It might not be brand new, right? In the case of my client that was, writing for a van, she was writing because she had 3 children. She had 3 young children. And, she was telling me, wow, my van's breaking down. I can't afford to repair it. And, so I said, here, let me give you an affirmation. And I gave her the affirmation, and she wrote it down. In 2 months, she came into my office. She goes, you never guess what happened. I'm like, what happened? She goes, well, my girlfriend is moving to the mainland because her husband got, stationed in the mainland. And he's in the military. And she said she'll just give me the van because it's last minute. She'll just give me the van. All I have to do is do the certificate of ownership. And I was like, yeah, there you go. See? Okay. Coincidence? I don't think so. Okay. And the reason I say this is because I know. The reason I say this is because I've done it so many times for so many things, for companies, for things, for places, people, like all kinds of stuff. Okay, but this is how human beings are designed. You have a reticular activating system in your brain stem that filters out what you're not focused on. So anything that you're focused on, it begins to show you. This is where you get that phenomenon, like red sports car, right? You go online, you see a red sports car, you go, wow, that's a cool car. I like that car. I want to get one of those one day, right? You say that. And then what happens? Your reticular activating system, because you're thinking about it, starts to show you the red sports cars, whatever, if it's a red BMW, whatever it is. But then you start seeing it and you go, wow, I never knew there were so many red BMWs. See? So, and it does this, your reticular activating system does this because when you're in the manifestation process, okay, when you are, doing it through your subconscious, okay, it filters the things that you want to you. It shows them to you. So now, maybe you like one that you saw yesterday, maybe you like the one you saw today, or maybe, or whatever, right? But it starts to show these things to you. Now, if you're focused on money, if money is the focus, making more money, that kind of thing, your reticular activating system will show you more avenues of money. It doesn't matter what it is. It just matters that you apply focus. That's all. Now, what's the biggest problem of our world today? Distraction, okay? Distraction is the biggest problem. Why? Because it takes us away from focus. Okay, it takes us away from focus, and that distracts us into something else. So our eyes are the distractors. Your eyes pull you into a different reality. Why is it a different reality? Because you live in a simulation. Okay, your brain absorbs data and puts it together and brings it out this way into your world. Okay, so your life path gets projected out. Life happens for you. It doesn't happen to you. It doesn't happen like this. If you think life is happening to you like this, and things just happen to me, and I gotta play dodgeball and dodge the bad stuff and stuff like that, then you're suffering from victim mentality. Life happens for you, so the things that you intend on the inside will unfold on the outside all the time. The key is awareness. To be aware of these things. When you're aware of these things, you can spot them. When you spot them, you go, oh, okay. But most people spot them, right? And then we go, oh, is that a coincidence? I mean, I even do it sometimes, and I have to remind myself, no, that's not a coincidence. When you're thinking about your best friend, and you're thinking about your best friend, and thinking about your best friend, and then you run into your best friend in the mall. Coincidence or superconscious? See? So, yeah, you can manifest things deliberately because you're going to manifest things anyway. Okay, let me give you an idea. Okay, the people that always talk about what they don't want? Oh man, the last thing I want is another bill. And what happens? They get another bill. Why? Because bill is the subject. Okay? That's just like people saying, like, I got to pay down my debt. I got to pay down my debt, pay down my debt. And they keep getting more debt and more debt and more debt. Why? Because the focus is debt. It doesn't matter if it's paying it off. It doesn't matter if it's, getting rid of it or whatever, but the focus is on debt. That's the subject. So you get more of that because that's what you're focused on. It doesn't matter if you're trying to get rid of it or trying to create more of it. You're going to get more of it because it's the topic, it's the subject. And that's how that works. So if you don't know that you're doing these things, right, and you're speaking these things into existence, into your subconscious, okay, as a belief is a thought you keep thinking. When you express it with your voice, it gets there even faster as a program, okay? And when this happens, you start getting the residual effects of it. So if you're saying something, like I got to work on my debt. I got to work on paying down my debt. Now debt is the subject. Then what happens? Well, then more debt shows up, right? But you're not aware of it. So you're like, wow, that's all I do is get bills and get bills and get bills. And pretty soon, bills keep coming, right? More bills, more bills, more bills. Why is that? Because thoughts become things. Okay, and what you speak goes into your subconscious. So if you're speaking it, it goes in faster. If you're thinking it and speaking it, it goes into your subconscious faster. So don't talk about what you don't want. Okay, because when you use a negative in a sentence, okay, the way I was taught is like God doesn't recognize negative. So, if you say something like, I will not smoke anymore, it turns out to be I will smoke anymore, and you keep smoking. You don't quit smoking. You want to quit smoking, though it feels good to breathe clean air, that kind of thing. So be very careful and guard your speech. If you're talking about things that you don't want to happen, they will keep happening because it's the topic. Whatever it is that you don't want to happen, okay? The last thing I want is another bill. Boom, bill comes. Okay? Because you're attracting that, because you're on that frequency. Okay, now we're not talking about a resonant frequency. We're talking about emotional frequency. All the negative emotions are rooted in fear. If you're talking about something you don't want, there's fear associated with it. Okay, it might not be the kind of fear where like you're terrified. It's not that kind of thing. But it's fear. Fear that makes you uneasy. All the love to you too, brother. Thank you. Thank you, Artemis. Thank you, man. Thanks. Aloha from Hawaii. So you gotta watch what you say, how you say it, and you gotta watch what the subject is, okay? Because you will get the subject. Okay, so if you're talking about new car, okay, good. Because it's new, right? New car, new car, new car. Pretty soon your subconscious gets that message, new car. And your subconscious goes, oh, we're working on new car? Okay. Then the superconscious, right? God, or whatever, higher self, and higher intelligence, whatever you want to call it, that, okay? That starts to give you intuitive thought on how to proceed, how to get there. As you take the steps towards it, it starts opening the doors like this. The doors open. You just take the steps, baby steps, small little baby steps, okay? The doors begin to open, and as the doors open, you attain your goal. You get closer to your goal. It's like that with anything. But the key is to be aware. The key is to be aware and learn how to work this in your favor, because you're going to manifest things anyway. Why live a random life? Okay, when I set out into the world, at 12 years old, I was thinking about all these things I was going to do as soon as I could get out of the house, right? That was the old days. We wanted out, and as soon as I could get out, I got out right after high school. I'm like, I told my mom, put me on the plane. I'm leaving. I'm going. Right? I was just tired of everything, and I just wanted to get my life started. Okay, but my focus was becoming an entertainer. And instead of going straight to that, right, I went kind of the roundabout way. Because I got into radio, and I thought, well, if I get into radio, I could get into, radio stations, and I could be around the entertainers, and then get to the producers, and then get produced, and whatever. So it was a journey. It was a huge journey. Okay, and I did radio for 40 years. 40 years. Okay. Because I loved radio. Radio was cool. Okay. Did television too. Did a lot of stuff. Okay, but the main point here, I'm not trying to flex or anything. I'm trying to say that you can follow your dreams too. Okay? You can follow your dreams. People don't stick to their dreams. That's the problem. Because of fear, at some point they let go and they go, this is not gonna work. I better do something else. It takes courage to stick to your dreams, but when you stick to your dreams, they start to happen. Why? Because of your subconscious. Okay, it starts to happen. Now sometimes you gotta, it gets spooky. You gotta keep going when things are hard. Okay, I remember working for $5 an hour in small little tiny radio stations, right? Living the dream. Okay. And whatever happened, whatever experience I picked up, whatever things along the way, right, prepared me for the big thing that happened in 1999 for me, right? And if I hadn't done all the groundwork, I wouldn't have been prepared to handle it. So everything prepared me for that moment when things started going right. Okay. So what I'm saying is sometimes, right, when you're trying to live your dreams, okay, it looks like logically it's not gonna work. It looks like that. Okay. Sometimes it looks really hard. Like, wow, you like your savings is going down, like everything's going down, right? You're kind of like going through these little trials and tribulations, right? And you want to stick to your dreams, okay? But because of fear, some people abandon their dreams. They abandon their dreams and go, okay, no, I gotta do something for money. I gotta make rent money, so I gotta go do something else. But I'm here to tell you, okay, if you're stubborn about it, and if you keep following your dreams, you may have to get a second job somewhere. I had second jobs and stuff, okay, but I stuck to the dream. Okay, when you stick to the dream, eventually the doors have to open. They have to open. And you don't know where it's going to open. You don't know how it's going to open. You don't know when it's going to open, but it's going to open. If, okay, here's the if part. If you have your heart and soul in it, okay? If you have your heart and soul in it, right? Eventually, things work out. We talked about the perception thing, right? So if it looks negative, right? Glass half empty, right? And you keep at it and you keep at it and you keep at it, it slowly turns to the glass half full. It worked that way for my cars. It worked that way for like everything, because I do it for everything. Okay, affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. When I get up in the morning, one of the first things I do is meditation. Okay, this morning I did, 45 minutes and then another half hour. Okay, so I kind of do a lot. In the course of a day, I probably do about 3 hours of meditation separately, separate units of time. But I'm here to tell you that unless you're going in the kingdom, because the kingdom's in here, unless you go into the kingdom and close your distractors like this and seek, you're not going to find. You won't find it out here. You're not going to find the solutions out here. You know when the solutions come? The solutions come when you're so beat down, right? When you're so tired and you like, oh man, and then you collapse and you take a nap or something, and then you wake up and then good news, right? That kind of stuff, that always happens. Okay, why is that? Because God is real. Because God hears you, but God hears you through your subconscious. Okay, now your subconscious is a culmination of all of your senses. Okay, your subconscious is not your brain. Okay, your subconscious is part of your mind. It's it's one state of awareness. Conscious, subconscious, superconscious. Now, when these three are working in synergy, conscious, subconscious, superconscious, you begin to manifest properly. Okay, and properly pertaining to whatever it is you're going after, whatever it is you want, whatever it is you're seeking. But you got to seek in here. That's where the meditation part comes in. And you're going to find when you go in here and you be quiet, okay, and you're listening for instructions. God will speak to you. You're not going to hear a voice. You're going to get a feeling, okay? But God will speak to you. Now, whether you want to call it God if you want to call it source, if you want to call it universe, if you want to call it Jesus Christ, if you whatever you want to call, whatever label you want to put on that, you're going to feel the answers. Okay, so trust intuitive thought. Let me give you an example. Okay, I always use the same example. So if you heard this example, hi lady, good morning. If you heard this example, forgive me, but I'm going to use it again. Okay, so you're driving down the street, you get that feeling to turn right, and you go, no, that's okay, I'm just going to go to the next light. And then you get stuck in the traffic jam. What do you say? You go, I knew I should have turned over there. I knew I should have turned right. Because you did know. So if you trust that, intuitive thought, or if you want to call it a hunch, or if you want to call it, whatever you want to call it, trust that. It's there for a reason. And the more you learn to trust it, the better your life gets, the easier your life gets. Why? Because you're actually getting help. You're getting help from the superconscious. Okay? And that's a big deal. So it's conscious, subconscious, superconscious. So trust intuitive thought. Okay, now there's a difference between memory and intuitive thought. Okay, so I gave you the intuitive thought example. Now I'm going to give you the memory example. Okay, so you're at home, right? You're making something to eat, and maybe you go in the in the refrigerator, you get ketchup. Okay, and you see that there's only this much left. Okay, so you use whatever you use, you put it back, whatever you eat, and then you go to the store the next day. You're walking through the store, and you get in the aisle where there's ketchup, and you see the ketchup, and you go, wait a minute, now, I think I'm supposed to get ketchup. Okay, that's not intuitive thought, that's memory. Okay, human beings have a better memory than they think. You have a much better memory than you think. I can remember 4 years old. Okay, I can remember when I was 4. That's the earliest memory I have. Okay, but human beings can remember. It's just that we get distracted. The distraction is what messes with our memory. Okay? If you're not being distracted, your memory is fine. The majority of the people don't have problems with their memory. Okay? But anyway, you're in the store and you look and you see the ketchup. You go, wait, I think I'm supposed to get ketchup. Okay, that's not God talking to you. That's your memory. Okay? And then you go, nah, that's okay, I pass. I think I'll go home and check. And you go home and you see, oh, only got this much, right? And then you go, I knew I was supposed to get ketchup, right? Okay, that's memory. That's not intuition. There's a difference. But when you put intuition to work for you, when you start listening to the voice of your intuitive voice, okay, that feeling that you get, that instinctive feeling that you get, your life will be better. Your life gets much better. Okay? So consciousness lives in your mind. Okay? This means that awareness, thoughts, perception, subjective experiences, okay, it all, or intentions, right? They all occur in the mind. And there's a separation between the body and the spirit. Okay? Because you're not your body and you're not your name. You're the energy that lives in here. Okay? You're a spiritual being having a physical experience. Now, if you're not aware of that, check it out. Go look at some spiritual teachings. You can look at religion, you can look at spiritual teachings, esoteric knowledge, that's another good one. The origins of things, that kind of stuff. Okay, and you'll find that, wow, yeah, I'm not just a meat suit walking around on the planet, because you're not. You have the ability to hold your thoughts firm, your concentration, your focus, and draw things to you. Okay, because time reacts to you. You think that you react to time, but time reacts to you. There's like some things, right, that happen for you and they happen right away, and then sometimes things take a little bit longer. Okay, it's not because of the size of it. It's because of the focus, the amount of focus on it. If you focus on something really intently, okay, and keep in mind that you are the field, okay, you are the electromagnetic field. But when you focus on something, right, mind over matter. And what happens? Well, the simulation is in here, okay? The data is coming through your eyes, your ears, right? Going into your subconscious. So your subconscious starts to show you evidence of whatever you're focusing on. Now, if you're focusing a little bit, it might not come as fast. If you're focusing a lot, it will come faster. There's things that I've done. It's like, I really want to do this. I'm really going to focus. I'm going to, affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization, all 4 pillars on one thing, and boom, it happens. So try these experiments. Try writing an affirmation for $20. You have to start small, okay? Because even your subconscious needs to start small and grow, like anything else in life. But start small. Start with $20 and work your way up. Go 20, 50, 100, 200, 500. Okay, that's the way I did it. It works. It works. Somehow it just happens, and then you have this extra money. Okay, try it with a Starbucks coffee or a Jamba Juice or something like that if you do that. Okay, because if you do that, you'll see that it works. Like, wow, I wrote an affirmation for coffee, and I was in there, and then my friend came in and bought me a cup of coffee. Coincidence? Okay. Try with a parking space. I have this one parking space. I put it up on my Facebook account all the time. I have this one parking space. Because of my Facebook stories, I try to show people like how I manifest stuff. I show them like you can do this too. It's easy. And it's just focus. It's just concentration. So on my way to the shopping center, I visualize that parking space because I know where it is. I just think about it. And I think about it and think about it and think about it. And one day I had my phone, and I'm not supposed to take videos while you're driving, but I wanted to show people, right, how it works. And I did it live, and I filmed it, right, from down the street before I even got into the shopping center. And I started talking about it, and I was filming. And right when I got to the shopping center, to the parking space that I was talking about, the person was just reversing. And I have it on video. I have it on video somewhere in my phone. I still have that. And I was like, you see how this works? You see how amazing this is, right? But when things like that happen to us, we dismiss it as coincidence. You ever been talking in your living room and you're talking about something, and then the commercial for it shows up on TV? Those are synchronicities. Okay, so synchronicities happen as confirmation of something. So if you're talking about, like, say, a steak dinner on the weekend or something, and you're standing on the street with your friend and you guys are discussing dinner on the weekend, and you see the meat truck drive by, that's a synchronicity. Okay, those things. And I'm not saying that they're like messages for you. They're not intentional messages, but they're confirmation of what you're doing. They're confirmation of what you're talking about. When you see the synchronicities, it's just confirmation of what you're talking about. So, people ask me all the time, well, if you do the affirmation, meditation, vocalization, visualization on one thing, will it happen for sure? I'm like, it cannot not happen. But the way it happens, you have to look at the way it happens, okay? Because the how is God's job. So sometimes things are given to us in a way where we go, like, it comes out of left field or something, right? And we don't even, it wasn't the way that we thought it would happen. But then it happens, and then you have to go, oh yeah, that's right, it actually happened. But it happened this other way, right? Not the way you were thinking. And that happens all the time. It happens all the time. Okay, so the separation of body and spirit is important to understand, because spirit has control over body all day long. all the time. Your body is the physical aspect of you that is in the world. Your spirit is in here. Okay, that's who you really are. And that's the one thing everyone has in common is their energy. Yet everyone is different, right? So we are all connected, or let's say plugged into the same network as human beings. We're the same species. Okay, we're all plugged in. When I had my horse, I was surprised to learn that horses are all plugged in. Okay, so my trainer told me, if there's something rustling in the bushes, right? Because the horse's natural enemy is the mountain lion. If there's something moving in the bushes, one horse spooks, they all spook, they all react, all at once. And I saw it several times. I used to keep my horse in this paddock, and there were like a string of horses, like 11, 12 horses in a row in different paddocks, right? And something would make noise in the bushes, and one horse all the way down there would react, and it would set off a chain reaction, and all the horses would move. They would all move and look around like that. So they're all connected. When you see flocks of birds, you see how they all turn at the same time? They all turn in unison. They're connected. Okay, so by us living in a simulation, we're actually able to bring things into existence through thought. Okay, thoughts become things. That's how things get invented. Where do you think the best inventors in history got their ideas from? In the kingdom. They go in the kingdom. They seek in here. And then they get the information. And then they write it down. Okay? Einstein did that too. And that's why Einstein said, education will take you from A to Z, but imagination will take you everywhere. Because you have to exercise your imagination. You have to see yourself there. First of all, you have to see yourself worthy. Okay, but secondly, you need to see yourself there. Wherever there is for you, whatever the goal is. Okay. Let's say, for example, you want a BMW car. Okay. And maybe that's a little expensive for you right now, but you see yourself there. Okay. If you see yourself there, if you see yourself worthy, if you see yourself driving the car, eventually one day you will drive the car. You will have the car. Because that belief in your subconscious will create actions that will lead you to that point. Now, it may be saving money. It may be getting an extra job. It may be a variety of things. It may be several things together that add up to getting the car. Or it could be as simple as taking out a loan and going on a test drive and having the courage to do that. A lot of people, myself included, do not have the courage to do that. Okay, I was like that. I was like that until 2007. And in 2007, I decided not to pay attention to the old paradigm. And the old paradigm was, and this is a fear, lack-based mentality, okay? And the thinking was, because cars depreciate as soon as you drive them off the lot, look for a good used car. Okay, I was looking for good used cars for many years. Okay, but here's the problem, right? The good used cars always started rebuilding themselves after 60,000 miles. So they're good for a while, right? And then they start rebuilding. What am I talking about? Well, you got to change the water pump, change the radiator, right? All that stuff. Okay, so it starts to rebuild itself. That gets expensive. I spend less money now and just pay my monthly lease than going through all that hassle to save the amount of money that it depreciates when I drive it off the lot. Does it matter? No. It's never mattered. Why? Because there's two ways to wealth. Two ways. Okay. And these are mindsets. That's why this is called mindset coaching. Okay. These are mindsets. The first mindset is like, okay, I'm going to just put everything away in the bank. I'm going to just hoard money. I'm just going to, everything goes in the bank. I'm going to deny myself. I'm just going to wear a t-shirt and shorts and, I'm just going to live on the bare minimum. But I'm going to have a lot of money in the bank. Okay, that's one way to do wealth. The other way to do wealth is to understand that the kingdom is in here. Okay, to understand that God's got you. To understand that you have a higher power, higher self, higher power, whatever you want to call it, infinite intelligence, whatever you want to call that. But we're all plugged into that. And when you believe in that way, money comes when you need it. Things come when you need it. Every time I need something, it comes. Why? Because God is an infinite supply. Infinite supply. No such thing as lack. No such thing. No, you do have to contribute, okay, to society. You have to do your part, whatever your part is. And another thing about manifestation, if you really want to do it right, if you really want to do it well, you have to make a deal with God. So you go in the kingdom, right? And you go in your center, and you say what you're going to do, okay? Because you have to do something. Nobody gets something for nothing. You have to say what you're going to do in exchange for this support that God is going to give you. A lot of people forget that part, okay? They always talk about making a deal with the devil, right? Like, oh, these guys in Hollywood, they make deals with the devil all the time. They sign the contract and deal with the devil, that kind of thing, right? You always hear that. You never hear people go, well, you got to make a deal with God. Yeah, you got to make a deal with God, of course. You have to pledge, or let's say it another way, you have to put up your end of the bargain. Okay, and you decide what that is. So what can you give? What can you offer? What can you offer God to be of service to God in exchange for what God is going to give you? Now, if you look at that as the universe, if you look at that as source, if you look at that as, hi Jay, good morning. If you look at that as Jesus Christ, if you look at that as Allah, however you look at it. But that's what I'm talking about, the superconscious. You make a deal with God the same way you make a deal with the devil. If you're thinking about selling your soul, okay, sell it to God. Make a deal with God. It's easier. And every time you need something, things come. Things happen. Why? Because everything comes from God to us through others all day long. And sometimes, right, when you're praying, sometimes when you're making intentions, pray, make intentions, wishing, oh, I wish I had that, right? I wish I had whatever. I wish. And pretty soon it shows up and you're going, wow, I was just wishing for that. I was just thinking about that, right? Thoughts become things through your subconscious. So you're thinking about it, right? A belief is a thought you keep thinking. Now it becomes a belief in your subconscious. And now your subconscious starts bringing it to you slowly. And the superconscious starts to line up people, the right people, you meet the right people, right? The right time. And you get to where you're going. And you get the thing you want. Or you accomplish, your goal. Let's say it that way. You accomplish your goal. Now, people have, presented manifestation as a magical kind of thing. It's not magic in that sense. It's not like a magician kind of magic. It's a human being kind of magic because we are designed like that. God spoke the world into existence. We can speak things into existence. when the Secret came out, right? That DVD by Rhonda Byrne, and she had all her experts on there, quantum physics physicists on there, and all of that. Religious people were telling me, "Oh no, that's the devil. That's evil." I'm like, "Evil? That's your subconscious." To say that's evil is crazy. It's the way you work. It's the way you're designed as a human being. It has nothing to do with evil. Now, if you want to make it evil, if you want to go do evil things or manifest evil things, that's up to you. Because it works both ways. Okay, you have free will. You can use it for good, you can use it for evil, whatever. Evil's a strong word, but yeah, you can, good or bad, your choice. That's why in the cartoons they show you the angel over here, the devil over here, right? And then they talk back and forth. They fight each other, right? Because you want to know which way to decide. Am I going to decide in favor of the devil side, the bad side, negative side, whatever, or the positive side, right? Like that. But you have control over that. So the good things that come into your life, right? Give gratitude. Things that are good for you that you get, give gratitude for that. Always thank God or whoever you believe. I'm not here to tell you what to believe or how to believe, but always give gratitude for it. The things that come into your life that you don't want, you can change. But you need to change it through your subconscious. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. So affirmations, write it down. Meditation, go into stillness and be still. 10 minutes a day. That's all you need. 10 minutes a day. Okay, I do long meditations, but that's me. Okay. Other people, I know people that do like an hour and a half. Like, the other day I did 3 hours. That's not necessary for the average everyday person. Okay, I'm just working on things. But if you want to do more work, then just know that you go in the kingdom. Do the work in the kingdom. The kingdom is within. Go inside, not out here. You're going to get lost out here. Always inside. Okay, and so affirmations, meditation, vocalization. Speak the dream. Speak the goal. But speak it in the present. I have my new car. I have my new shoes. I have my new job. I have my new girlfriend. Whatever. Wife, whatever. Significant other, okay? Whatever, but speak it into existence in the present. That's why when you write your affirmation, I am so happy and grateful now, okay? Now that I have, and then whatever it is. Okay, but you have to train your mind. If you don't train your mind, good luck. Because then your thoughts are scattered, and then the boat goes like this. Okay, there's no rudder on the boat. The boat just flows, it goes in any direction, okay? But when you affix a rudder to it, right? It goes here, it goes there, it goes there, it goes there, right? Where you direct it. You have to be specific. So you have to be organized in here. It doesn't take that much. It doesn't take that much time. It takes less than 15 minutes a day to do the complete process. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. So you speak it, but you speak it in the present tense because there's only one long now. If you say someday, if you say, I would like a new car someday, someday never comes. Someday, when is someday? Oh, I don't know, someday. You see, there's no definite purpose or definite conclusion to a someday. It just keeps going. There's no boundaries. There's no parameters. It just someday. Well, that's like saying try, right? Yesterday we said here, try to take the pen out of my hand, right? And if somebody does that and they do this, you say, no, you took the pen out of my hand. Put it back. Okay, now try. Try to take the pen out of my hand looks like this. This is try. Nothing's happening. Right? Nothing's happening. Okay? You either take the pen from my hand or you don't. Because if you try, that's try right there. Okay, just so you know. No such thing as try. You can make an effort to do something. That's different. That's not trying. That's effort. That's action. Okay, now you can take action in different ways, and I always remind people of this. Okay, so you can take action in thought, or you can take action in deed. Okay, thought, word, and deed actually. Words too. When you're speaking, you're taking action. When you're speaking the dream, when you're speaking the goal, when you're speaking it into existence. How is that done? Well, it goes into your subconscious. And it goes into your subconscious as a belief. Your subconscious takes it from there. The superconscious will give you intuitive thought and guidance. That's your guidance system. That will lead you to where the destination is. Sometimes it takes you out to left field. You know, you go step 1, step 2, boom, you're way out there, and you go, bam, I got it out here. And you didn't expect it, right? Because like they say, the how is God's job. But faith is believing in something not yet seen. That's faith. And faith is important in manifestation. Because you have to know, like you know, whatever it is that you're intending will happen. You have to have faith. Walk by faith and not by sight. Because you can't see it yet. That's why you can't walk by sight. And when you seek, remember, when you seek, it's in the kingdom, it's inside. So when you're seeking, you close your eyes, right? And you go inside. The reason why we don't do that is because we have eyes that lead us away from the kingdom. They look away from the kingdom. I know people go to church every Sunday. They're very religious. I know some very religious people. They don't go in the kingdom. They look out here for stuff. They do stuff out here. Okay, that's doing it backwards. Okay, you gotta go and seek in here. Listen in here. When you listen in here, you will receive instructions. When you receive instructions, act on them. Listen to the instructions, what they're saying, or the feeling that you're getting about something. Okay, that's intuitive thought. Pay attention and act on intuitive thought. Everything is within, nothing is without. As above, so below. As within, so without. What does that mean? That means if you want to change your circumstances out here, change them in here first. Start writing intentions from here. Okay, pray in here. Okay, don't do your praying on social media. Don't do your praying in a physical location. I mean, yeah, church is good. You can go to church and pray in the church, but you need to pray in here. You need to go in here, in your center. Close your eyes. Be still. You have to be still long enough, because if you're distracted, right? Everything is stimulus in the world. Stimulus, right? With too much stimulus, guess what happens? You cannot sit still long enough. And if you can't sit still long enough, you're not going to get that divine intervention that you need. That divine thought, that intuitive thought. Okay? The help from your higher self, from higher source, from infinite intelligence, from God, from Jesus Christ, from Allah, that lives within. So the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious are all in here. Okay. And when you start doing it that way, okay, life will change. I guarantee you, life will change. Thank you, Jay. Jay is saying, see you tomorrow. Thank you, Costas, for being here. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Aura, thank you for being here. I see you. And yeah, I'm just gonna mention this before I go. So Aura, who's on my account over there, this is her, and she does aura photos, and she did mine. I just want to mention. So that's mine, right there. So she does that. She has a special camera and stuff. So and her number is 808 847-681-9190. She's on Instagram at auralove3. So yeah, check her out. Check her out. She does good work. Very, very good work. All right, you guys. I shall see you tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. There's no sales pitch. There's no buy my course. There's no nothing like that. Sorry if you're expecting that. But yeah, if you want to go check out the website, it's hereforyoulifecoaching.com. Okay, and we're going to say love